All right, everybody, thank you for stopping by. So in this video, I'm gonna be going over 5 more tips that I have for Predecessor. And a lot of these might be just general tips that a pro player might already know. This is more for new players who might not know certain strategies or gameplay mechanics. But as a player that plays this game every day, almost, I would say that there's a few pro players that might need to know a couple of these things as well. So I'd say even if you're a pro player, I would watch this video and learn these tips. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Thank you. All right, so this first one can be a pet peeve of mine sometimes. A lot of people will just clutter up the chat with a bunch of random nonsense, or they'll say something like 50 times for absolutely no reason. And the reason that this isn't good is because they added an audio chat. So when you do a command like that, like warning someone that someone's missing in your lane, there's a verbal audio that pops up and says it. So, like, that's kind of really good for you because if you're in a lane in the middle of a fight and someone says enemy missing, like if you're in the off lane and someone says some enemy missing mid lane, you know that there's a chance that that person's coming over to attack you. But if someone's cluttering it with a bunch of nonsense, the audio cue does not go through. So what I'm saying with this is use the audio chats, like the commands that you can do, but don't overuse it. Don't spam it. Don't use it unnecessarily. And like, I don't know how to explain it much more than that. It's just, it gets really annoying when someone starts spamming something out and then you end up getting jumped and you're just like, well, I had no warning that this person was missing in right lane, but you were warned. You just couldn't hear it because you were busy fighting someone and you didn't see the chat because someone was spamming other crap and you just kind of toned it out because they were spamming so much. So, but a lot of people will just like get in there and they'll spam it like I had a carry in the off lane once, and he was just like, "Need help, need help, need help, need help, need help," and there's just like he kept like constantly, and he'd clutter the chat so bad that like none of the other commands could go through, and it just get really annoying. So just be wary when you're using those commands. Just you say what you need to say, and don't clutter the chat in case there's something important going on that needs to be said. So. Some of you are going to call me stupid and say I'm stating the obvious when I say this next one, but a lot of people don't realize that there's tonics that you can get when you are maxed out and you don't have anything else to spend your gold on. And I've talked to a few people, and you'd be surprised how many people don't actually know about those tonics or what they do exactly, and they just don't use them because they don't know what they do. So I kind of wanted to go over exactly what they do real quick. So you can see here, they're only 700 coins, but each one has a different stat that it can give you. So depending on who you're playing, but when you're maxed out, you can buy these and they last for 300 seconds or until you die. So if you are maxed out, you have no more items to grab, you should look into grabbing those tonics whenever you're back to base, just so you can have additional stat buffs. When I was playing and I saw that, I thought it was either going to be like some kind of rip off of the health potion, or it would replace an item and it was like a level 1 tiered item, and I didn't really know exactly what it was, so I just avoided it. And then one day, like, I was doing really well and I was just in the shop and I just sat there and I read it and I'm like, oh, you know what, that's a bonus that it will add to you just for 700 coins for 300 seconds. And like when you're maxed out, you don't really need any coins anyway, so you might as well use that and get that buff going. All right, so I'm going to go over the tonics real quick. So the first one is the Intellect Tonic, which gives you 50 magical power and 200% mana regen for 300 seconds upon lost upon death. Then the next one is the Strength Tonic, which adds 50 physical power and 10% Omnivamp for 300 seconds. The Stamina Tonic gives you 300 health and 12 health regen for 300 seconds. And the Protection Tonic gives you 20 physical armor and magical armor for 300 seconds. All right, so to be an attempt to be thorough here, I'm just going to show you that it does not stack. So you are unable, you have to pick one. You can't grab them all. But just to show you right here. So this one adds physical armor. So it goes up to 71. And then when you buy the health one, that drops and the health goes up. So I just wanted to show you guys that. Anyways, to wrap up this section, be sure you're using those when you're maxed out on items so that you can be getting those extra bonuses, because those bonuses can be really big actually. I might be trying different strategies on buying those early. You can't buy them until level 11 though. but I might buy them early. We'll see. It might be a bad gold investment. It might be a good one. It might be a risk. So I might be testing some out. So I might anger some of my teammates. We'll see. So this next one is another pet peeve that I see a lot of people do, and it kind of just it's really bad practice to be doing unless it's in a certain situation. But if you see the enemy is going for or prime or fang tooth and your jungle is not around to do anything or they're dead, then don't try to steal it from them because 99% chance their jungler is just going to smite it and then you're just going to get killed by their entire team. I will say there is situations where you can try to steal it without a jungler nearby. And that is if their jungler is not around for one, that's the obvious one. If their jungler's not around and they're off lane, or let's say like their carry and support are going for it alone without their jungle, by all means compete for them with it. But if their whole team is going for it and your team's dead and your jungle's missing, don't just go in there and start attacking it and try to steal it from them because it's not going to work. Let's be honest. Okay, I will say there is a slight chance that if the jungler is new, they might use smite too early and then you can snipe it, but the chances of that happening are really low. If you're wanting to interrupt them from taking or prime or fangtooth, it's definitely situational, but if you go in there and they're all really low, go and target their jungle and try to kill him. Don't attack the or primer jungle or the fangtooth. Go after their jungler and try to get them killed. So if you could buy enough time that your jungler can come and snipe it with his smite, like obviously this is all situational. You should be basing it on the situation, but I will show a clip here showing exactly what I mean. All right, so this is a replay, but it is showing me as the enemy team. So the blue team is the team I was fighting, the red team is us. You see here, they're going for it. Grux jumps in, tries to stop them. Morgus jumps in, tries to stop them. They're dead. Grux was our jungle, so, oh, they're dead. Okay, there's only our carry and middle lane left, and they come in. All they start doing is start shooting Orb Prime and helping them kill it faster. And this is what I mean that you shouldn't be doing, because all you're doing is helping them kill it faster, and then now their whole team's there just to wipe you up. But I see it all the time where someone who's not a jungler will go and try to snipe it, and all they end up doing is helping them kill it faster, like I said. And then they're stuck in a situation where they're going to be surrounded by the enemy team. And if it's Aura Prime, the enemy team is going to be doing a ton of damage. So, like I said, it is situational. And there's a lot of times where the enemy team can come out of there really not having any health. And that situation, yeah, jump in there. But be paying attention to the situation. If you think you're just going to go sacrifice your life and snipe it, that is a very low chance, and you better just take your chances and leaving and just taking the safe route and just accepting the L that they just got the tower or the buff and not worry about it, because like those buffs early game aren't super huge, so don't feel like it's the end of the game if you miss a buff. It's really not that big of a deal. But if you can snipe it and you're the jungler, go in there and snipe it by all means. But the jungler has smite, and it can be a race between which jungler uses it first. So this next one I have said in other videos as just like in passing, but a lot of people will say that they have the best deck or the best build for someone, and they'll just say, oh, use my build and it'll be perfect. You don't need to do anything else. But I think that's kind of dumb to say, because each item that you select should be situational and depend on who you are facing. Just some obvious examples of that. If you are facing characters that are predominantly physical damage, you don't want to be grabbing items that prevent magical damage, because that'd be kind of stupid. Because if their whole team does only physical damage, why would you want magical armor? It wouldn't be doing any good. So you want to be choosing your armors depending on who you are facing, as well as if you're facing someone that's really tanky, there's items that you can get that ignores their armor. And it really depends on, like I said, it depends who you're facing. So you should be picking items based off of your opponent and what they are picking as well. One thing I will say is I always say you should grab tainted no matter what lane you're in, no matter what role you have, you should be grabbing a tainted item. But if your opponent is going for a lot of life steal and a lot of health regen, you want to be making sure you're like grabbing tainted items so that you can reduce that and you counter exactly what they're trying to go for. And like if you're facing someone that's putting on a bunch of physical armor, then go grab stuff that ignores physical armor. You should be really paying attention to what they're buying so that you can counter it. And I know I can be guilty of it where I don't pay attention to what my enemy's buying, and then I could just be completely get behind and start losing the battle because like I won't grab tainted until later, but then it'll be like, oh, they grabbed a ton of lifesteal and I'm not doing anything to counter that. So they're just not dying ever. And it feels like I'm fighting someone that's invincible. But you want to be making sure you pay attention to what they buy and buy items that counter what they could buy. And if you go and press on the tab and go over their little face, the little items, it tells you what those items do. So be making sure, I sound like a broken record right now, but check what they are getting. Always be looking and check what their jungler's getting and counter him as well. All right, so you're probably wondering what I mean by choose your hero wisely. And the only reason I put that is because what I wanted to put was way too long. So there's two parts to this that I want to go over. The first one is if you're lucky enough to know who you are facing when the character selection is going, pick someone that is really good against that character. And for example, if you can tell by some miracle that you're going to be facing somebody that is a carry in the off lane, you can select a character that can be really good at countering them. Like Greystone is really good at countering carries in the off lane because he has this big old leap, he has an extra life, and he does the circular damage as well as his fire sword is really good. Or you could pick Sereth, she's another good one. But anyways, moving on, that isn't the important part I wanted to mention in this section. So if you've been playing lately, you'll notice that a lot of people have been playing characters in the wrong lanes. And as fun as that sounds and cool and, you know, as unique as it is, it can lead to a lot of problems. I was playing a game where I was Morgesh in the middle, and we had a carry in the left lane or the off lane. He was playing carry as Murdoch or whatever he was playing. And then we had a Kalari in the jungle, and then our off lane was a phase and a decker. So not a phase and a decker. It was either a phase or a decker and another carry. So we had no melee characters and no characters that were tanky, and we got steamrolled bad. So if you were picking last or towards the end anyways, and you see that your jungler is going someone really squishy like Kalari or even with Yin nowadays, then you should be picking your character accordingly. For example, let's say you're picking last and you're the support, and you notice that there's a carry in the off lane, and your middle went like Morgesh, and your jungler is someone squishy like Kalari or Yin, and you're picking and you're the support. I'd suggest that you pick someone like Steel or Richter that is more tanky and they can take hits, because your team needs to have somebody that can take those hits. And let's say like you're mid lane and you notice that nobody picked a tanky character, you could play Aurora at mid lane. I've seen a lot of people playing her mid lane, and they seem to be doing pretty good. But just being wary of who you pick, and you could try playing different characters in different lanes. Like Aurora technically doesn't belong in the middle lane, but she does really good there. So just trying to do things out and making sure. I know it shouldn't be up to you guys to decide to make up for your team's poor choices, but it could really save your game if you pick the right character when your teammates are doing goofy stuff. So that's just something I want to suggest, because I've been seeing it a lot lately where everybody picks a goofy character for the lane that they're in, and it could really screw over your team because, well, hello, no, we don't have any tanks, or hello, we have so many carries and no one else, and or we don't have any melee characters, and that can be really detrimental. And like there's a reason why those characters are suggested for the lanes that they're in, and if you're not communicating with your team to pick their characters according to your choice, then it's really bad for the team and it can lead to some really pathetic losses. I've had a lot of bad games because people picked goofy characters in the lanes. I've had somebody carry go as a jungle, and that didn't go well because, you know, he's not tanky, he kind of jumps in there. And I think it could be good in the right situation, but they need to communicate with their team and say, oh, you know what, because I'm going carry in the jungle or carry in the off lane, somebody needs to make up for the lack of someone really strong and have a lot of health in this lane. Anyways, I'm going to end the video off here. Thank you guys for making it this far if you did. And if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe. And be sure to comment any suggestions that you have to add. And if I like your suggestion, I will shout you out. I will put your comment on there and let everyone know where the comment came from to get the idea. So I will be making more videos like this in the future. So stay tuned for them. And thank you guys again. We'll see you next time. Bye.